राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय हरिनाम संकीर्तन की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna, we welcome all the devotees to the Sunday morning Bhagavatam class. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter number 18, titled Parikshit Cursed by a Brahmana Boy, and text number 27 for discussion today. Viprakirna Jatachannam रौरवेण जिनेन च विशुष्यत्ताहुरुदकम् तथा भूतम् अयाचत विप्रकीर्णजटाच्छन्नम् रौरवेण जिनेन च विशुष्यत्तालुरुदकम् तथा भूतम् अयाचत विप्रकीर्णजटाच्छन्नम् रौरवेण जिनेन च विशुष्यत्तालुरुदकम् तथा भूतम् अयाचत विप्रकीर्णजटाच्छन्नम् रौरवेण जिनेन च तालुरुदकम् विप्रकीर्णजटाच्छन्नम् रौरवेण जिनेन च विशुष्यत्तालुरुदकम् तथा भूतम् अयाचत विप्रकीर्णजटाच्छन्नम् रौरवेण जिनेन च विशुष्यत्तालुरुदकम् तथा भूतम् अयाचत. Mataji's. विप्रकीर्णजटाच्छन्नम् रौरवेण जिनेन च विशुष्यत्तालुरुदकम् तथा भूतम् अयाचत. We'll see word to word translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Kindly repeat after me. Viprakirna, all scattered. Jata achannam, covered with compressed long hair. Covered with compressed long hair. Rauravena, by the skin of a stag. Ajinena, by the skin. Cha, also. Vishushyat, dried up. Talu, palate. Udakam, water. Tatha bhutam, in that state. Ayachata, asked for. Translation. The sage in meditation was covered by the skin of a stag, and long compressed hair was scattered all over him. The king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked him for water. Purport. The king, being thirsty, asked the sage for water. That such a great devotee and king asked for water from a sage absorbed in trance was certainly providential. Otherwise, there was no chance of such a unique happening. Maharaj Parikshit was thus placed in an awkward position so that gradually Srimad Bhagavatam could be revealed. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, I welcome all the devotees. So, we are in today's shloka seeing how Parikshit Maharaj, a very respectful gentleman, a very cultured family member, and a fearless, beautiful king, was thirsty, and he came to the ashram of Shamik Rishi, and there he becomes eager for water, and Shamik Rishi is in a trance. Shamik Rishi is on the mystic yoga path. He is a yogi. So he has closed his eyes, he has long jata, and Parikshit Maharaj, to this sadhu, who is in a condition of trance, whose eyes are closed, disturbs him. In one sense, is disturbing him out of that state in which he is, and says, "Can you give me some water?" And Srila Prabhupada, very out of concern, is telling us, please do not misunderstand Parikshit Maharaj. This is definitely a providential arrangement. Providential arrangement means this was organized by the Supreme Lord. We can see Parikshit Maharaj is a very dutiful king. It is described in the previous chapters how Parikshit Maharaj, when he sensed that the symptoms of Kali Yuga are infiltrating his kingdom. The word that is infiltrating, infiltration means that's not a normal situation. And in one shloka, Parikshit Maharaj, when he's talking to Dharma the bull, he says, "Till now, no one on this earth has shed tears because of royal negligence." So there may be many people who have shed tears, but it was never out of royal negligence. The king never neglected his duties. And so he is challenging Dharma the bull, you're shedding tears and I am alive. So please tell me who's the perpetrator of this crime, and I am here to chastise him. So you can see how is such a dutiful king. Which kings can speak this? Nobody has shed a tear on this earth because of royal negligence. It means I have never neglected my duties. And so now tell me who's the culprit. So he's a very dutiful king. He went out and he did Paritranaya Sadhunam and Vinashaya cha Dushkritam. When Parikshit was born, Yudhishthir Maharaj asked Kripacharya for some predictions. How will this child be? Will he be dutiful? Will he be a nice protector? So that time, some of the qualities of Parikshit were foretold. And one of the qualities that was told was, he will be as good as Krishna. Another quality that is foretold is he will be as staunch a devotee as Prahlad. Just 3 days back we celebrated Narsingh Chaturdashi, and you cannot celebrate Narsingh Chaturdashi unless you glorify Prahlad. And then it comes, how there are so many attacks on Prahlad, but Prahlad is a staunch devotee. Dhrida Vrata, he will not move. And that's why Graha Vrata, Hiranyakashipu, could not do anything against Dhrida Vrata. So Parikshit is a staunch devotee like Prahlad, and he is as good as Krishna, so he will do Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Cha Dushkitam. He protected Dharma the bull and Dhara the cow, and he took out his sword to kill Kali. No mincing of words, no wastage of time. Danda for hurting the bull and hurting the cow. And Parikshit is also a very devoted king. He has also inherited from his forefathers, Arjun, Yudhishthir, Bhima, Abhimanyu. The Mahabharata describes that when Abhimanyu was a small child, Krishna would sometimes clean him after he would do his natural duties. So that's the love that Krishna had for Abhimanyu and Abhimanyu had for Krishna. So this Krishna, that love comes, percolates down to Parikshit through Arjun and through Abhimanyu. So will somebody who's in the line of Arjun the warrior and Arjun the bhakta, Arjun the devotee, will this person ever disturb a sadhu who is in his state of sadhana? Well, sometimes I see some devotee from the ashram, brahmacharya ashram, is chanting Hare Krishna, and some grihasthas from our community sometimes want to talk to him. And definitely the talking is not about the weather, it is something serious. Maybe they want to ask a question about chanting, maybe it is something to do with some lecture or some organizing or something. And when they see that devotee, brahmachari, chanting Hare Krishna, they don't disturb him. So many times I've seen they keep waiting for some time. They say, nahi, Prabhuji agar chanting kare to disturb nahi karna chahiye. So, even in the 21st century, if we understand this, 5,000 years back, did Parikshit not understand this? He is doing his sadhana. He's closed his eyes and sitting straight. And should I go to him to ask for my bodily needs? Even we don't disturb a sadhaka for our bodily needs. We don't disturb a sadhaka even for our spiritual needs. Sometimes we may not disturb a sadhaka even for honoring him. Yes. So I've seen how when somebody is sitting on the Vyasasana and they're chanting Radha Madhav and sometimes their eyes are closed, the devotee who garlands that devotee waits for the devotee to open his eyes and then he puts a garland. Have you ever seen somebody who's chanting Radha Madhav, his eyes are closed and somebody will just put a garland on him? So think about it, in one sense, in a mature way I'm saying that we are learning culture. We are not cultured. But yes, through reading the books and observing the pure sadhus, we are learning culture. I'm speaking about myself. I'm not really a cultured person. So even in today's times, we don't even honor a person by disturbing him if his eyes are closed. We will not ask him a question from the Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita if his eyes are closed and he's chanting or he's thinking about something. Yes? What to speak of, we disturbing a devotee. Prabhu, thoda prasad hai kya? Can you give me some water to drink? And we disturb somebody out of his chanting, right? So if we don't do it, what is the chance that Parikshit Maharaj, such a cultured person, will ever disturb a sadhu in his state of meditation and ask him for water? He won't do it for anything else. He is a devotee of Krishna. In the Rajasuya Yagya, it was mentioned how different people, it's a huge yagya, and different people were given different responsibilities. So Duryodhana was given the charge of collecting gifts that different kings had brought. Bhishma and Drona were given the charge of organizing the whole sacrifice. Ashwathama was given the seva to look after the comforts of the Brahmins who had come. Dushasan was given the charge of food distribution. Vidura was given the charge of the treasury. If some Lakshmi is coming, how much will go, how much will spend and all that. And Krishna was also there. So in another shloka it is mentioned, Sarathya Parashada Sevana Sakhya Dautya. These are different things that Krishna did for the Pandavas. So one is Parashada. Parashada means he's a follower. So just like everyone else, Krishna also took some seva. Krishna said, Are, Yudhishthir Maharaj, your Rajasuyi Yajna is going on and so many guests will come. I also want to do seva for you as a Parashad. And what seva did Krishna take? Krishna took the seva of washing the feet of all the sadhus who came for that Rajasuya Yajna. So of all the sevas, Krishna feels that is the seva which is fit for me. When Sudama Brahman came to Dwarka, how did Krishna receive him? Krishna washed his feet, took that Charnamrit, put on his own head and put it on Lakshmi Devi's head and put it on all the family members' head. And if you go to Dwarka, there is Rukmini Devi temple. And Rukmini Devi temple, the pujaris tell a story why Rukmini Devi temple is outside the city limits. It's almost 12 kilometers from Dwarkadish temple. It's so far from Dwarkadish temple. Why so? So they say when Durvasa Rishi was staying at Pindaraka Dham, so Krishna and Rukmini as ideal grihasthas, they went to Durvasa Rishi and they said, will you come to our home for prasad? And Durvasa Rishi said yes. But Durvasa Rishi is Durvasa Rishi. So Durvasa Rishi said, I have one condition that you have to drive the chariot. No horses. Your request for me to come to your home for prasad, is it just a social obligation? अरे गृहस्थों को साधु को बुलाना पड़ता है तो अभी बुलाना पड़ेगा. Or is it you're actually feeling from your heart that I should come to your home for prasad? Let me see that. And when you give a test to Krishna, Krishna comes out with flying colors. So Krishna and Rukmini, the goddess of fortune and the avatari, both of them are like the horses for the chariot and Durvasa Rishi is behind and they're carrying Durvasa Rishi from his ashram to Dwarka for prasad. And on the way, Vaidarbhi, she's from a kingdom, she's a princess. So on the way, without any complaints, without anything, she got thirsty. Krishna has his own ways of handling things. So Krishna can tolerate a lot of things. He's had a rough childhood also after Vrindavan. So Krishna tolerated, but Rukmini Devi felt hungry. So Rukmini indicated to Krishna, thirsty. So Krishna, without disturbing anything, Krishna pressed his toe in the ground and brought out water for Rukmini Devi. And because Rukmini Devi is very thirsty, she drank that water. Durvasa Rishi saw that. And Durvasa Rishi needs a reason to explode. So Durvasa Rishi said, you got that water, but you didn't ask me. Yes? Did Durvasa Rishi do the same thing of not asking me before drinking water somewhere else also? So he has that habit of, I deserve respect. And you better offer respect to me, even if it is drinking 2 drops of water. So 2 times our Durvasa Rishi has done this. And so he got angry on Rukmini Devi and Krishna and said, your residence and Krishna's residence will be separate. So even today if you go to Dwarka, Rukmini Devi temple is far from Dwarka. So this is the Krishna we are talking of. Washing the feet of Brahmanas, putting the Charnamrit on his head, and just because some water incident happened, he has to get separated from his wife, Rukmini Devi. But Krishna never spoke a single word. So Parikshit is as good as Krishna, according to Kripacharya and according to the Bhagavatam. Will Parikshit disturb a sadhu in meditation for few drops of water to quench his thirst? And that's why Prabhupada tells us, it is a unique providential arrangement. It was organized by the Supreme Lord. Please never misunderstand Parikshit Maharaj. How could we do this? So, there are some incidents mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam which are providential arrangements. They look like, how could this person do this? Even we won't do this. But a very exalted devotee or a very exalted personality did it. And then it is explained why that whole event took place. So we are going to discuss 2 such providential arrangement situations from the Srimad Bhagavatam today. One incident is mentioned in the 3rd canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is mentioned, Lord Brahma, after he created the universe, he saw how people, in order to actually stay comfortable in the universe, they need to be covered by some kind of ignorance. So he manufactured 5 types of ignorance. This 3rd canto, 14th chapter. And after he manufactured those 5 types of ignorance and everyone got covered by those ignorance, he felt pity. He said, oh, I covered them with ignorance, and if that ignorance is too thick, then they will stay here in the material world, they will never try to go to the spiritual world. So then he has to also offer some medicine for the ignorance that he created. So what did he do? He created 4 principles. Sankhya means analytical study of this world and understanding that finally everything in this world comes from a few basic elements. Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu. Yes. So everything can be broken down into Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu and some other elements. Mind, intelligence, ego. So if you actually go through that Sankhya Yoga, it comes from the root word Sankhya. You count. So in this wood, what all is there? Can anybody just quickly tell me what elements out of earth, water, fire, air, ether are there in the wood? Fire is definitely there. Earth is also there because when you burn wood, you get ash. Yes? And sometimes the wood, if it is fresh from the tree, it has water also. So then a lot of smoke comes. Yes? So in this way, everything you see, you break it down. So that's called Sankhya Yoga. And at the end you understand, just by these elements, I'll never get happiness. So then there is an impetus to try to go back home, back to Godhead. The second principle he created is yoga. Yoga means mystical performances of pranayam and all. And then slowly understand that my body and me are different. The third principle he created is vairagya. What is vairagya? Complete detachment from all the bodily necessities and then slowly get internally detached from the body. And then that way you go back to the spiritual world. Impetus. All these are like runways on which the plane of going back to Godhead could fly. It does not necessarily fly. But some of them are fortunate and they'll use these runways to go back home. The fourth one he created is tapas. Tapas means voluntarily accepting tapasya for a higher purpose. If tapasya is forced, it is not tapasya. So on Ekadashi day, if somebody is forcing us to do nirjala and all, then it is not tapasya. We have to voluntarily agree. I think I want to have some more time for chanting and hearing and preaching. So if I skip my breakfast, I'll save 15 to 20 minutes, and in that 15 to 20 minutes, maybe I can chant 2 more rounds. If I skip my lunch on Ekadashi day, then I save around half an hour. Maybe I can hear one lecture on that day. If I skip my dinner, then maybe I can go to attend some extra evening program that I usually don't get to do. So that is called tapasya. That's called Ekadashi. It's not to be forced on anybody. So Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya and Tapasya. These 4 principles he created for people to get out of that ignorance. And then it is mentioned, the first sons of Brahma were the 4 Kumaras. Sanak Kumar, Sananda Kumar, Sanatan Kumar and Sanata Kumar. And then he allotted each of these principles to these 4 Kumaras. Sankhya he gave to Sanak, Yoga he gave to Sananda, Vairagya he gave to Sanatan, and Tapas he gave to Sanat. So in the Gaur Ganodesh Deepika, this is a book written by Kavi Karnapur, who mentions all the associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who were they originally in Krishna Leela or in the spiritual world, other parts. So he mentions Sanatan Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, is Rati Manjari or Labanga Manjari, who is a very dear associate of Lalita Devi in the spiritual world. And then Kavi Karnapur also mentions Sanatan Kumar, one of the 4 Kumaras, he also entered the body of Sanatan Goswami. And that's why Sanatan Goswami, he has deep love for Krishna, which comes because he is Rati Manjari and Labanga Manjari, but he also exemplified extreme renunciation. And there are incidents which we cannot discuss today where he has advised Rupa Goswami to not even accept service from Radharani when Radharani came and offered kheer to Rupa Goswami at Ter Kadam. There are instances where Sanatan Goswami advised Raghunath Das Goswami to not become so renounced that Radharani has to put her, the odhani, the pallu that she had to shield Raghunath Das Goswami. He had to tell Raghunath Das Goswami, don't become so renounced that a tiger is drinking water next to you at Shamkund and you are immersed in meditation. So Krishna has to stand there with a stick to prevent a tiger from harming you. So this is, real renunciation. The renunciation, not just for renunciation's sake, but renunciation for enhancing our service spirit. So that is Sanatan Kumar. These are the 4 Kumaras. And these 4 Kumaras were told to procreate also, and then they rejected it. And after that, they got these 4 principles to take care of. Also, it is mentioned that at one point of time, Diti, one of the daughters of Daksha, she is married to Kashyapa Rishi. And in the evening time, she felt attracted to her husband. So the husband said, because we are husband and wife, there is no harm in this, but this is not a good time. In the evening time, when the twilight time is there, Lord Shiva and his followers, the ghosts, the hobgoblins, and the spirits, and all those people, they are wandering around in the evening time. So in the evening time, if you do these activities, there is a chance that one of those ghosts who's searching for a good body, the ghosts are always searching for a body. So if that activity is going on, then it is possible that in twilight time, one of the ghosts enters that body, and that's why certain activities are not allowed at that time, the twilight time. And Kashyapa Rishi mentioned this to his wife. But Diti, she was too much infatuated at that time, and she could not control herself, and she pushed Kashyapa Rishi, and Kashyapa Rishi said, okay, I already warned you that this is very dangerous, and still you want to do it, so what can be done? So he did his part because he's a husband, so he did his duty. And immediately after the act, Diti understood, the reality dawned upon her, and Diti said, I'm really very scared now. Oh Kashyapa Rishi, you are a very powerful person. Please have mercy on my womb, on the embryo in my womb. Please let not Lord Shiva become angry with me. He's your brother. Please let not any evil influence happen on my embryos. At that time, Kashyapa Rishi said, see Diti, your mind was polluted during the act. And the time was not right. So you defiled the time also. You neglected my directions. And you were apathetic towards the demigods. The devatas are moving around. We don't do certain things when the devatas are there. Just like Nalkuver and Manigriv were punished by Narad Muni. You can't do it. And they did not even cover themselves. So because of these 4 reasons, Kashyapa Rishi tells her the entire thing was inauspicious, and the 2 embryos in your womb now, they will be great harassers of people in general. They will trouble women, they will kill cows, they will destroy Brahmanical culture, and they are going to be real terrorists at the universal level. So then she really begs and she says, can you give me some benediction? So he at that time says, okay, because you're so much hankering, I cannot remove the fault in the embryos, but one of the grandsons of yours, Hiranyakashipu's son, will become a great devotee. That much I can promise you. So when the embryos are there in Diti's womb, they are so powerful in a wrong way that the whole universe is covered by darkness. There is no light on the planets. And Diti, because she has heard from Kashyapa, she is not allowing those embryos to take birth. So it is mentioned she kept Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, named later, those 2 embryos in her womb, for 100 celestial years. Because she was thinking when they come out, they are going to be universal terrorists and they will get killed. So as long as possible, let me hold them in my stomach. So for a long, long time, there is no light in the universe. That was their power. And at that time, the demigods, they went to Lord Brahma and they said, can you do something about this? Because we cannot even perform our duties. Everything has come to a standstill in the universe. At that time, Brahmaji, he tells the story behind. Why did this happen? What was the reason? Was it a fault or was it providential arrangement? And in this way, we come to chapter number 15 of the 3rd canto. And it is very interestingly called The Description of Kingdom of God. So we have descriptions of different countries of this world. How some countries are really very beautiful, some countries are really nice and this and that. But any one of us, if we really want to become fixed up, chapter number 15 of the 3rd canto is a very, very beautiful chapter. It describes the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha. So we just know the word Vaikuntha, But do we know what happens inside Vaikuntha? And because there is no other way to know what is inside Vaikuntha, there is only one way, Shabda Praman. So Shukdev Goswami has given us the description of Vaikuntha, and Prabhupada has translated those Sanskrit words into English and other languages. And all of us are so fortunate that sitting here with all the anarthas in our heart, we are getting something like a periscope, and we have that other side of the periscope in the spiritual world. Would you like to hear the description of the spiritual world? So, there are trees there, and those trees are so auspicious that they continue giving fruits and flowers out of only one desire, to serve Vishnu and to serve the residents of Vaikuntha. They just keep giving fruits and flowers. No season, no nothing. Only one desire, to serve. There sometimes auspicious birds like parrots, partridges, peacocks, pigeons, chakravaka. These are all these birds who have very beautiful voice. Swans, they have very beautiful voice. And sometimes they come together and they sing the glories of God. They do Sankirtan. Just like we heard very beautiful Kirtan by Purushottam Prabhu. And every Sunday, some devotee has very beautiful Kirtan. So they also come together and they have their own unique flavors. Yes, all the singers in Radha Gopinath temple, they have their own unique flavors, right? So similarly, they also have their unique, but the point is one, to glorify Krishna. And then, when they are doing Sankirtan, there is the king of the bees, honey bees. So in our temple, how many of you are there in the morning chanting session? Okay, and how many of you are really focused on chanting Hare Krishna? Okay, so quite a few are saying we were here but we could not focus. Did you hear the cuckoo making his sound? For almost half an hour today, yes? I don't want to dare to imitate, but just to keep you engaged. Yes, this is not how she did it, yes, or he did it, but still. And then, yes, the peacock has his own sound, yes? Very beautiful sound. You get to hear it in the Vrindavan forest. So all these are birds with beautiful sounds and they are making a Sankirtan of glorifying Vishnu. And along comes the king of bees. And what sound does the bee make? Can you make it fast? Yes? So the king of bees does not make a different sound. The king of bees amplifies the sound. Like that. Yes? Bzzz, like that. So it is mentioned when all these birds are doing Sankirtan of Vishnu Nam, and when the king of bees does his sound bzzz, like that, all of them, they stop their Sankirtan because they want to hear the Sankirtan done by the king of the bees. Now externally, the king of the bees, the sound that you made, our Prabhu made some sounds like that. Is that more beautiful than the cuckoo sound and the peacock sound? But all of them, they stop their Sankirtan to hear this particular devotee's glorification of the Supreme Lord, even though it may not sound really, really very sweet to the ears. But they are appreciating the eagerness of the king of the bees to glorify Vishnu. In the spiritual world, there are very, very fragrant flowers. Naga Keshar, Parijat, the Pankaja is there, Arna is there, Punnaga is there. These flowers are not available on the earthly planet, but all these names are mentioned. And they give off very beautiful fragrance. It's very attractive. Madhavi, Mallika, these are all flowers from the spiritual world. So when these flowers are giving their fragrance to please Vishnu, they are always mindful of Tulasi Devi, who has performed a lot of austerities to please Vishnu, and that's why Vishnu is always decorated with Tulasi leaves on his feet, and sometimes he wears a garland of Tulasi leaves. Now, does the Tulsi have a fragrance? Apparently no. Yes. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions Tulsi does not have a mundane fragrance. Tulsi has a spiritual fragrance. If we are spiritually advanced, then one day when you are walking by a Tulsi plant, especially in, he mentions the morning Brahma Muhurta. So in Brahma Muhurta, it is spiritual time, the spiritual Tulsi gives off a spiritual fragrance, which can be inhaled by spiritually advanced people. So all of these beautiful smelling flowers, they are always humble and they think Tulsi Devi's fragrance is so pure and Tulsi Devi is so dear to Krishna. Although our fragrance in one sense is appreciated by everyone. So they have that kind of a feeling. It is also mentioned that the residents of Vaikuntha are sometimes traveling in airplanes and they have very beautiful wives. And those beautiful wives, not only their bodily features are very nice, but when they smile or they cast their eyes on their husbands, they are very, very attractive. But it is mentioned the residents of Vaikuntha and their wives, even though both of them are beautiful, they are never ever affected by that physical attraction. And all the time, both of them together, with all their beauty, with all their ornaments, with all their smiling and this and that, they are constantly chanting the songs of glorification of the Lord, not affected by any attraction to each other. And then it is mentioned there are many, many Lakshmi Devis, there are many, many residents of Vaikuntha who see there is no dust here in Vaikuntha. And if there is no dust, then what service we will have? So even though there is no dust, they do the job of a sweeper. They take some sweeping stick, jhadu, and they're just sweeping. There's nothing to sweep. There's nothing to clean. So why are they sweeping? They want to always give an impression to Vishnu that although we are residents of Vaikuntha, please don't feel that we don't want to serve you. Jivera Swarupa hoye Krishnera Nitya. So Nitya does not mean Nitya in the material world. Nitya also means Nitya in the spiritual world, which is actually the real definition of the word Nitya. So just to give an impression to Vishnu, we are your servants, we are your dasis. They are serving. So it's very interesting how the pure devotees of the Lord are always searching for a chance to serve, and sometimes we may not be having that kind of a mood. Yes. So the trees are free. We are having the 6 anarthas that typically disease people in the material world. So the trees do not have any illusion. They always want to serve. They want to give flowers and fruits. The king of the bees, that pastime, it shows that all the birds of the spiritual world do not have any pride in their singing. They are very humble and they allow the king of the bees to make that sound. What was the sound, Prabhu? Yes, this sound. And all the flowers of the spiritual world, they do not have any envy for Tulsi Devi. Because why Tulsi always? Why always? Why Vishnu worship is not complete without Tulsi? Why not Pankaja? Why not Parijat and so on? And the beautiful residents of Vaikuntha, the males and the females, they do not have any lust for each other. And because they do not have any lust for each other, the younger brother of lust, Kamanuj, is Krodha. So Krodha is also not there. And the ladies who are serving in Vaikuntha, they're sweeping, they do not have any greed. They are just happy and satisfied to serve. So in this way, we can see the 6 anarthas in the material world, they are totally absent in the spiritual world. So this Vaikuntha planet, which is totally very beautiful, very nice, free from greed, anger, envy, pride, illusion, and so on, it has some gates. And there are 7 gates. And the 4 Kumaras, you remember the 4 Kumaras we discussed some time back? Those 4 Kumaras, one time they decided, we want to go to Vaikuntha. And these 4 Kumaras, they are the first children of Brahma. It means they are the oldest, Vriddha. But they saw that as our age changes, our body changes, we become infected with a lot of issues of the material world. So they asked for a boon and they are always 5-year-old kids. So they look the youngest, but actually they are the oldest. They go to Vaikuntha, they pass through 6 doors of Vaikuntha. They are not attracted to all the decorations on the gates of Vaikuntha. They are just passing as if unnoticed. And they come to the 7th gate of Vaikuntha. And at the 7th gate of Vaikuntha, there are 2 guards there. They are very beautiful. They look exactly like Vishnu, except that they don't have the Srivatsa on their chest and they do not have the Kaustuba Mani. Other than these 2, they are exactly like Vishnu in everything. Sarupya. So, when they come there, just like they pass through the 6 gates, they also want to pass through the 7th gate. Because innocent children, they don't have anything in their heart. As they are passing, the 2 gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, they have a rod in their hand. They have a stick in their hand. So they put that stick like this. And they stop these 4 Kumaras from entering Vaikuntha. And the 4 Kumaras, they have so much eagerness to see Vishnu that their eagerness is stopped. So they become angry. Now they are the ones who have not aged. So they are actually free from all this. But they have their eagerness to see Vishnu. And when they are stopped in their service to Vishnu, efforts to please Vishnu, they are angry. So they say, both of you are supposed to be residents of Vaikuntha, and when you stay in a particular place, we absorb the mood of the master. So if we are members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we are supposed to know the mood of the founder Acharya of ISKCON. If we do not know the mood of the master, sometimes, even though we are members of ISKCON, we may speak something, we may do something that may harm his reputation. So it is in our interest that we read Prabhupada Lilamrit. Why? To understand what Prabhupada considered important and what Prabhupada considered unimportant. So they are saying, if you are the residents of Vaikuntha, you are supposed to know the mood of the master, and your master is always unbiased. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshosti na priya. So, because you are stopping us, it means you have not absorbed the mood of the master. Actually, you are guards and you are stopping us thinking that we'll do some harm to Vaikuntha. Is there a possibility of somebody who is unqualified reaching the seventh door of Vaikuntha? The very fact that this person has come to the seventh door of Vaikuntha means he is pure. Actually, what we feel is, we are not somebody who is unqualified to reach here, and that's why you are stopping us. Actually, we feel you are unqualified to be at the seventh gate of Vaikuntha. And so, there is only one thing to be done. You are unqualified to be here, we are qualified to be here, otherwise we would not have passed the 6 gates. Let us, 4 Kumaras, send both of you to the place where there is danger, where there is kama, lobha, krodha, and so on. So, because you are making distinctions, inside, outside, heat, cold, where are all these distinctions found? In the material world. Matra sparshastu kaunteya, shita ushna, sukha dukkha, da, agama, apayina, anitya, stam sitiksha svabharata. So one of the fundamental, at the beginning, Krishna starts speaking in 2.11 in the Gita. Before that, Krishna is silent. So 11, 12, 13 and 14. 14 is Matra sparsa. One of the first words that Krishna is speaking is, learn to tolerate the dualities of the material world, O Arjuna. So one of the fundamental things is you have to tolerate the dualities of the material world. So they are saying, because you are seeing duality in the spiritual world, which is absolute, which is purest. So you need to go, you qualify to go to the world of duality. So they say, please go to the material world. That is the place where you belong. And when they say that, the guards, the doorkeepers, they immediately realize the fault that they have. They doubted the 4 Kumaras who are at the 7th gate of the Vaikuntha. What a big mistake. So what is the response of the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha? They fold their hands and they said, we accept your curse. We are ready to go to the material world. We just ask you for one benediction. When we go to the material world, please do not award us forgetfulness of the Lord. बस एक ही हमको देना कि भगवान का कभी विस्मरण न हो. So there is only one reply from the 4 Kumaras, no retaliation, no resistance. We are ready to go. But just one thing, don't allow us to forget the Lord. In the 69th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, Narad Muni visits Dwarka. And Narad Muni, when he comes to the place where Krishna is sitting, Krishna immediately gets up. He welcomes him, he washes his feet, he worships him, and then he says, my dear Narad Muni, you have come to my home in Dwarka. How may we please you? How can I please you? So Narad Muni is in the role of a sadhu, and Krishna is playing the role of a grihastha in Dwarka. So, like a typical grihastha should welcome a sadhu, he is saying, what should we do? What is your order for us? Oh sadhu, please order us. What does Narad Muni say? Narad Muni says, please grant us the power to always remember you, because we keep traveling always. Please never allow a moment of forgetfulness of your Lordship. This is the order that I am giving you to bless me so that I cannot forget you. Yeah, so, this is very interesting. Bhakta or Bhagavan mein kaun bada hai? Some people say Bhagavan. But the real devotees, they know that Radharani is Vrindavaneshwari. So, Narad Muni is asking for constant remembrance of the Lord. And these two gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, they say, we are ready to go anywhere. Swarga, apavarga, narkeshu, api tulyartha darshina. Narayana parasarve, na kutaschana bibhyati. The servants of Narayan, they are ready to go anywhere as long as they get a chance to remember the Lord. We were reading NOI, Upadeshamrit. And after speaking all the, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, 6 principles of loving, Utsahat, Nishayat, Dhairyat, and the 6 principles that are against devotional service. After speaking all that, the 8th shloka, Rupa Goswami says, is the essence of all shlokas. After that, 9th, 10th and 11th is glorification of Vrindavan, glorification of Govardhan, and glorification of Radhakund. So the essential is Tannam Rupa Charita Di Sukirtanano Smrityo Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishthan Vraje Tad Anuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayed Akhilam Iti Upadesha Saram. तो मैंने इतने सारे उपदेश किए हैं, and now I'm telling you the उपदेश सारम. What is that? Tannam Rupa Charita Di Sukirtanano. Please always chant. Smrityo Kramena Rasana. Rasana means the tongue because it is capable of tasting rasa. So rasa se rasana. The tongue is called rasana in Sanskrit. So Rupa Goswami is saying the essence of all the instructions that I gave you is that we should tan Nam Rupa Charita Adi. Nam Rup Gun Leela. Please chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And he says, you do this. Tishthan Vraje Tad Anuragi Jananugami. You do it under the guidance of somebody who loves Krishna. Don't do it independently. Don't do it whimsically. This is the Kalam Nayed Akhilam. This is what you should do 24 hours. Iti Upadesha Saram. Yes. So in the purport to that, Srila Prabhupada mentions something as a comment from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So he says, in the beginning of our bhakti, we should be in eagerness to always listen, hear. So that he calls as Shravana Dasha. And then he says, after constantly listening, after you hear, naturally, you want to share what you have heard with others. So he calls the second stage as Varana Dasha. So Shravana Dasha and Varana Dasha. And then he says, after you have heard a lot and you speak also a lot, a point comes when there is constant remembrance of the Lord. So that is called Smarana Dasha. And in that Smarana Dasha, sometimes what will happen is there will be interruption in Smarana. But sometimes after you become more practiced, then there will be constant remembrance of the Lord. That is called Anusmruti. So in one of the lectures, Srila Prabhupada mentions, just see what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us. And he says, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us lot of Shravanam. This Bhagavatam, NOI, NOD, Chaitanya Charitamrit. We cannot read what Prabhupada has written. In 10 years, he wrote, and in 60 years, we are not able to read it. Yes. So Lord Chaitanya has given us Shravanam, then Kirtanam, and then Smaranam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, yes. And then Prabhupada says, just see how even in Smarana Dasha, if there is constant remembrance of the Lord, that is Samadhi. So Prabhupada says, in Smarana, if you are constant Smarana, that is Samadhi. And Prabhupada says, if you want to achieve this Samadhi by the other process, it is Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan and Samadhi. The Ashtanga Yoga process to achieve constant remembrance of the Lord is such a faraway process. So there are 2 Samadhis available. By the mystic yoga process, you have to go through Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar and all that. Very tough. And in the Bhakti Yoga process, just hear. And when your heart becomes full of hearing, then you share. And after a lot of hearing and sharing, because that's what you are hearing and that's what you are speaking always, there is Samadhi by Anusmruti, by constant remembrance. And Prabhupada says, this is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is distributing the Samadhi that big yogis are searching for in the Himalayas of yoga for all of us when we are chanting and dancing in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that remembrance is very important. And that's why Jay and Vijay say, we are ready to go anywhere, but we want constant remembrance of the Lord. As this whole situation is happening, Lord Vishnu comes almost running from within Vaikuntha to the gates of Vaikuntha. He does not want the situation to aggravate further. Because, he said something and he said something, and usually what happens is, yes, we don't want to give examples of that, but we don't, तूने ऐसे क्यों कहा, फिर तूने वो word use किया, and then it goes. So Lord Vishnu immediately comes there, and Lord Vishnu says, wait. As he comes there, he is the most beautiful person that the four Kumaras have ever seen. The four Kumaras have an attraction to impersonalism. They are not really attracted to the form of the Lord. This is the first time they hear the form of the Lord. They mention, actually till now we always heard from Lord Brahma that the supreme absolute truth has a form. But we never saw that form. And today we are seeing this form. Oh, what eyes. Oh, the alligator shaped earrings that you have, they shine because they're golden and the cheeks of the Supreme Lord are dark. So on the dark earrings, when the earrings move, then they reflect on the dark. Yes, Makara Kundale Tarapati Shravani. Yes. So the whole form of the Lord is described and is so beautiful. And when they see that form of the Lord, the Supreme Lord is also glancing very, very affectionately at Jay and Vijay and also at the four Kumaras. Why is the Supreme Lord doing that? Prabhupada mentions in the purport, actually, the four Kumaras, when they cursed and they got this beautiful response from the doorkeepers, no problem. We are ready to undergo your curse, but just that we should not forget. They were expecting some retaliation. They say, हमारे एरिया में आके हमको बोल रहा है. We are the eternal residents of Vaikuntha. You are guests. Yes, this is a typical response. मेरे घर में आके मुझको बोल रहा है. Yes, something like that. They got such a sweet response, bhakti-laden response. So the Chatush Kumaras, in their heart, they felt a pitai. If Lord Vishnu has come, Lord Vishnu is going to say, Chakra! You offended my two doorkeepers? What fault they did? They just stopped you. Did they speak anything against you? कुछ बोला आपको? कुछ नहीं बोला. कुछ पिटाई किया? कुछ नहीं किया. You judge them. You are judging their heart. And you are saying, you are seeing duality and this and that. So go to the material world. Lord Vishnu is smiling affectionately at the Chatush Kumaras to tell them, I'm not angry at you. And the two doorkeepers are also feeling a lot of lamentation in their heart because they feel, if the Supreme Lord asks, why the temperature is getting heated up here? What happened? And the doorkeepers have to say, we stopped them. And the Vishnu will say, why did you stop them? Do they look like some terrorists? 4 बच्चे 5-5 साल के, they don't even wear clothes. They are innocent. What harm would they do? You fools. So to allay those fears of the two doorkeepers, I'm not angry with you. He glanced affectionately at the two doorkeepers. The two doorkeepers felt very good. My master is not angry with me. And the four Kumaras, they were also fearing heat treatment from Vishnu. So they also felt very nice. And in the purport, Prabhupada mentions, the Supreme Lord has an unlimited stock of transcendental qualities. And so he was looking in the same merciful way at the offenders and the offended. जिसने अपराध किया और जिसके प्रति अपराध हुआ, दोनों के प्रति भगवान ने दया भावना से देखा. This is Krishna. And we have to know whom we are serving, because we get caught up in the mathematics of who is wrong and who is right. And Krishna is saying, this is all very situational. Sometimes it is very situational. And in a situational thing, who is right and who is wrong cannot be judged. We have to see the long history of that person. So Lord Vishnu smiled at the offenders and the offended. Seeing that form of the Lord, now Kumaras underwent a change. What was the previous mood of the Kumaras? Go to the material world. Now the Kumaras are saying, actually, my dear Lord, you are never manifest to the rascals, although you are seated in everyone's heart. But our fortune is you have shown your personal form in front of us. How fortunate we are. They are now expressing gratitude to Lord Vishnu. Actually, my dear Lord, you are understood only by devotional service. Hearing and chanting is what we should all do, because you don't consider liberation as important, and even the devotees do not consider liberation as important. And now we ask you for only one boon. Maybe you will punish us, because Vishnu did not speak. Vishnu is just looking affectionately, but he has not spoken. So now they want to reduce the chances of receiving some kind of punishment from Vishnu for cursing his own two personal guards. So they say, we want only some benediction from you. What is that? With our hearts and our minds, we should always serve your lotus feet. With our words, we should always glorify you. And our ears should always be full of your glories. Hearing this, Lord Vishnu now speaks. What will Lord Vishnu do? Will Lord Vishnu take the side of Jai Vijay, or will Lord Vishnu take the side of Chatushkumaras? What do you feel? How many of you feel Lord Vishnu will take the side of Chatushkumaras? Arey, they are innocent. Okay. How many of you feel he will take the side of the two doorkeepers? Okay. You are taking the side of Srila Prabhupada. Okay. So Lord Vishnu, please hear this attentively. How does Lord Vishnu respond to the situation where two mighty personalities are apparently having a fight with each other? Misunderstanding, not a fight. Misunderstanding. Okay. These two have committed offense because of ignoring me. So the first thing is to pacify the Chatushkumaras. But they were affected by anger, and that anger was caused because of stopping their eagerness to see the Lord. So why did Lord come personally? Why did he not come on Garuda? It is mentioned that actually the Lord wanted to show them his lotus feet because they were eager to see his lotus feet. तो पहले पैसिफाई कर दिया, बोले देखो मेरे दर्शन लो, जिसके लिए आप इतना क्रोधित हो गए, मैं ही आ गया बाहर, तो अभी क्रोधित मत होइए. Passive, calm, cool down. So these two have committed offense because of ignoring me. I approve of this curse that you gave to Jay and Vijay. So Chatushkumaras, they are thinking, what's going on here? I thought abhi to blast milega apne ko pura. But he's saying, I approve of this. He says, actually, I consider Brahmanas like you as the highest personalities, and I consider the offense done by my doorkeepers as an offense done by me. Doorkeepers did not offend you. I offended you. They are my doorkeepers. Chatushkumar, this is taking a very serious turn. What's going on? Then he says, even a Chandala who eats and cooks dog's meat gets purified by chanting my glories. And if my own arm becomes hostile towards you, I am ready to lop off my own arm. If by mistake my arm becomes hostile to you, Chatushkumaras, I will not hesitate to cut off my own arm. Chatushkumaras are listening to all this. And they're also looking at the two doorkeepers. Because I serve Brahmanas, just like I mentioned now, Krishna served Durvasa Muni, Krishna served Narad Muni. Because I serve my Brahmanas, my lotus feet have become sacred. And because of that, they are worshipped by so many people. Because I worship Brahmanas, Lakshmi Devi wants to serve me, even though I do not pay much attention to her. And there are so many people who are observing sacred vows to get mercy of Lakshmi Devi. But that Lakshmi Devi always serves me. Why does she serve me? Because I worship the Brahmanas. I do not relish offerings made in a sacrifice as much as when the Brahmanas are fed nice prasad. So that Yajna Kunda Agni is Vishnu. Krishna says, that is my mouth. The Yajna Kunda Agni is my mouth. But I do not relish offerings given in my mouth as much as I relish offerings given to the Brahmanas when they come for prasad to somebody's home. I am the master of my own unobstructed internal energy, and the Ganga water that is taken from my feet is even respected by Lord Shiva, Gangadhar. If I take the dust of my Brahmanas on my head, who else will decline to do so? So my feet are sacred, and that water is taken by Lord Shiva, who is purest. So if I worship the dust of the Brahmanas, who else will say no? The cows, the Brahmanas, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. And those who hurt the cows, the Brahmanas, and defenseless creatures, the Yamraj and the Yamdutas, they will rip open their bodies just like vultures rip open somebody's body. Even if Brahmanas utter harsh words, and if somebody does not become angry on them and tries to please them, I become happy on that person. So even though Brahmanas will be harsh, you talk sweetly with them, And to such a person who talks sweetly, I become happy with them. And I just have a request to you, the four Kumaras. I will consider it a great favor if you have cursed them to go to the material world. If they come back quickly, I will consider it a favor on myself by you. Now, all these words, what comes to your mind when you hear that Lord Vishnu is speaking all this to the four Kumaras? Anybody? Is it very nice that he is chastising the four Kumaras who chastised the two doorkeepers? It's confusing. It's not so easy. So it's very honest of you that we don't know. Why did doorkeepers obstruct? Why they cursed? And Lord Vishnu is apparently taking the side of the four Kumaras and saying, I only committed an offense. So first, the two doorkeepers, they did something wrong, at least externally. And when they got that curse, they said, yes, we accept, we are ready to go to the material world, just constant remembrance. So they went into a defensive mode. No retaliation, no aggression. Seeing that, the four Kumaras went into a defensive mode. They said, no, we don't know what will happen, and now Vishnu has come and Vishnu is probably going to take out the chakra. But seeing that affection, they felt a little pacified, and now Vishnu has gone into defensive. If my arm does something to you, I'll lop off my arm. And this doorkeepers, they did not offend you. I offended you. Why? Because when the servant does something wrong, actually the master's name gets spoiled, is it not? If one of us wearing tilak and wearing this kantimala is seen doing something wrong, yes, what will people say? Do people know your name? Are we a big celebrity that people know our name? People will say, अरे वो प्रभुपाद जी का हरे कृष्णा वाला कोई तो आदमी उधर क्या कर रहा था? How can he do that? So Prabhupada's name gets spoiled. Our name does not get spoiled. Who are we? We are nobody. So Lord Vishnu is giving this logic and he's saying, when my doorkeepers did something wrong, it is I who did something wrong. So Vishnu is now going on a defensive. Now hearing Vishnu going on a defensive, and this whole thing is happening out of eagerness to see Vishnu. Do you want to know what is Kumara's response to this? Okay, you are with me. The Kumaras did not understand anything what Vishnu spoke because it was totally unexpected. And now hear their words. They say, my dear Lord, we don't understand what you spoke because you are speaking as if we have done a favor to you by cursing your two doorkeepers. We are completely puzzled. We are pure, but we have not been able to understand what response you are giving. So, this is a very good way to puzzle people. If people become angry on you, go on the defensive. Step back. If you step back, it actually puzzles people. I thought you'll become angry, and the whole purpose of passing a comment on you and troubling you was for you to become angry. Yes? मेरे पास ना आपने एक रिमोट कंट्रोल दिया है. अभी देखो, ये कैसे देखो गुस्सा करेगा. टुक. क्या देख रहे हैं मुझे? नीचे देखो. Yes? So, in our office, in our school, in our college, wherever we are, sometimes, in a family, yes? I was speaking yesterday to somebody. Sometimes even within close family members, when somebody is advancing financially, socially, or in any other way, and most often devotionally, even close members of the family become really uncomfortable. ये ना पहले बहुत गुस्सा करता था. जब से ये हरे कृष्ण मंत्र करे गुस्सा नहीं करता है. How dare he become better? And now my father is telling me, अरे तुम्हारा वो चचेरा भाई देखो कितना सुधर गया और तुम अभी भी वैसा ही है. So his becoming better is becoming a problem for me. I better do something by which his true nature is revealed and he becomes angry. So ये सब क्या है? तिलक बिलक क्या है? क्या करने वाला है? बहुत साधु बनने वाला है. And you speak out something, right? And the gut feeling is, तुझे बताता हूँ मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. You are speaking ill about the Bhagavatam. Do you know what is the Bhagavatam? Do you know what is Bhagavat and Bhagavad Gita and how they are different, and you don't know anything? We start speaking, right? So, instead of giving that response, if you say, बाद में बताता हूँ. I can assure you, please write this point in your notebook. Don't write any other point. It's straight from the Bhagavatam. I told you the chapter numbers also from the Bhagavatam. Yes. Please note this point. If people want to hurt you and you respond to them, you react to them, in one sense, you have given the remote control of your emotions in their hands. They know when to press the anger button. They know when to press the retaliation button. But snatch away the remote control that you have given to your people for controlling you. If they try to hurt you, if they try to shout at you, if they try to irritate you, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It will throw them off their feet. But ye kya response tha? How can he do this? And then you tell them, this is one of the benefits of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Vishnu is that person who teaches us everything. So Vishnu is beautiful, so we have Anshik beauty. Vishnu is supremely intelligent, so we have Anshik. If you want to become the greatest puzzlers of people, learn from this, right? So Vishnu is saying, Kumaras are saying, actually you are the supreme worshipable deity for everyone. And how can you worship the Brahmanas? Actually the Brahmanas are worshipable because they worship you. आप क्या बोल रहे हैं ये? कुछ तो उल्टा ही बोल रहे हैं आप. And then he says, and Chatush Kumara says, actually mystic yogis cross over the ocean of material desires because they meditate upon you. And you are saying that they are favoring you. What are you speaking? This is completely puzzling. And you are saying that Lakshmi Devi is massaging your feet because you worship the Brahmanas. That's not the reason. Lakshmi Devi is always in the mood of dasya for you, and she does not leave your feet because she wants to serve you. It has nothing to do with the Brahmanas. In fact, Brahmanas serve you because you are such a worthy master that Goddess of Fortune is serving you. What are you saying? We are not able to understand. And then they say, actually, you are the proprietor of the three worlds. You are the creator, the proprietor, the maintainer of the three worlds. You are the destroyer of the three worlds. Actually, we are completely puzzled by the submissiveness of yours, that why are you so submissive? How are you so humble? And then they say, the essence of all this is, we have realized our mistake and we have cursed two faultless persons. This Jay and Vijay, they had no fault. We cursed these two faultless persons. If you want to give any punishment to us, we are ready to have that punishment. So can you see? Because the Jay and Vijay went in a humble mood, the situation was cool, and then Vishnu came and Vishnu took all of it on himself. He's saying, Jay Vijay ki galti nahi hai, meri galti hai. And seeing that Vishnu is on a defensive and the two doorkeepers on a defensive, the Chatush Kumaras got completely puzzled. And they are saying, actually, we are wrong and we cursed faultless doorkeepers. How do you find the result of all this? It's puzzling. But is it sweet? It's really sweet. No arguments, no name calling, no fighting with each other, no shouting at each other. But for this, all three of them went on a... I want to hear that from you. What was that? Very tough to speak that. For this sweet thing to happen on the gates of Vaikuntha, not in the material world. Even on the gates of Vaikuntha, such a situation can happen. Misunderstanding amongst great personalities, and Vishnu is setting a golden standard by himself accepting all the faults of Jay and Vijay on himself and going on a defensive. And seeing Vishnu going on a defensive, who can go into aggressive? So now the four Kumaras are on a defensive and they say, actually we curse two faultless people. Now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he goes deeper into this and he says, when Vishnu said, oh, these two are my associates. Actually, he told the Kumaras, you fools, you cursed my associates. You used too much force. When Vishnu said that this punishment is permitted by me, actually what Vishnu was saying is, if I cancel that punishment which you gave to the two, you will feel worthless. अरे हमने इतना बड़ा शाप दिया और सबके सामने विष्णु भगवान ने उस शाप को काट दिया, हमारी वैल्यू कम कर दी विष्णु भगवान ने, so you will become angry to protect your pride. That you can curse anybody and everybody whenever you want on the gates of Vaikuntha, the personal associates of Vishnu, to keep your pride intact. I glorified you. And then he says, that when I said, I consider that my doorkeepers have not committed offense, I have committed offense, I wanted to tell you, these two doorkeepers, how dear they are to my heart, that what they do, I do not think they do, I think I did. And when I said that if the doorkeepers did something wrong to you, and if my own arm I can cut off, can you imagine? I'm comparing the doorkeepers to my arm. These doorkeepers are not ordinary people, they are serving me like, eternity. How pure they are, how nice they are, and I am actually telling you, they didn't do offense, I did. It means they are me. So actually you didn't understand, but the two doorkeepers are very close to me. And because he was using these kind of words, he was puzzling them, and that's why the four Kumaras are now on a defensive. And after the two doorkeepers went on a defensive, Vishnu went on a defensive, and the four Kumaras went on a defensive. Now you want to hear what Vishnu gives as the conclusion of this whole thing? Lord Vishnu says, actually, whatever happened was originally ordained by me. Why? He said, one point of time, these two doorkeepers, they want to serve me, right? Vaikuntha Vasis, what else they want to do? They want to serve Vishnu. So one time they came to me and they said, my dear Lord, for a long time we have seen how there is no Rudra Ras, there is no fighting that has happened. Because no demons are so strong like you. So we can see that we are serving you with prasad, we are serving you with sangeet, we are serving you with dancing, we are serving you with the trees are serving you, the flowers are serving you, the king of bees is serving you, but there is no fighting going on. And everyone has a desire, sometimes, yes, some fighting. I've seen small brothers, out of fun, they keep fighting. It's fun, yes. So they, at one point of time, Jay and Vijay had gone to Vishnu and they had said that we want to serve you if you have a desire. We want to offer ourselves for that service. ये एक सेवा हमने कभी की नहीं. Right? It is said after, Ramchandra brought Sita Devi and Rajabhishek was going on, Bharat Maharaj and Lakshman and Shatrughna and all of this, and the residents of Ayodhya particularly, they said, for 14 years, Lord Ram was out of Ayodhya. And during these 14 years, who served Ram? Sita Devi, Lakshman for the first 13 years, and the last year, all the Vanaras got to serve. So abhi ek kaam karenge, all the services of that Rajabhishek, we will divide amongst Ayodhya Vasis. इनको सेवा नहीं देना क्योंकि इन्होंने कितना सेवा किया, अभी हमारा कुछ होगा कि नहीं if we don't serve. So they put up a service schedule for the festival, coronation festival. And the services were given to this. So Hanumanji saw, मेरा नाम कहाँ है? Mangal Arati not there, Rajbhog Arati not there, Vaikalik Arati no, Shayan no, Shankha blowing no, Shri Sukta no, Purusha Shukta no, what will I do? Carry buckets? No. Because Ayodhya Vasis are also there and they're eager. After 14 years they're getting a chance to serve Lord Ram. So Hanumanji said, मेरे लिए तो कोई सेवा ही नहीं बची, तो क्या करना पड़ेगा अभी? कुछ तो सेवा ढूंढनी पड़ेगी. So he went next to Lord Ram and was standing there. And that Rajabhishek goes for a long time. So it's going on, and they brought water from all the oceans and this and that, and Hanumanji is standing next to it. So एक समय आया, somebody went and asked Hanuman, what are you doing here? सेवा क्या है तुम्हारी? वो लिस्ट में तो नाम ही नहीं है तुम्हारा. So Hanuman said, I am here to do chutki seva. He said, because this Rajabhishek goes on for a long time, there is a chance. Long, this mantra, that mantra, this water, that water. If by chance, that if is a big if. But if by chance Lord Ramchandra feels like yawning, immediately I'll go, I don't want him to do the chutki, so I am here to do chutki seva. This is the mood of a devotee. He finds out seva, even if apparently there is no seva, but there are millions of sevas, right? This seva or that seva. So this Jay and Vijay had thought of this fighting seva and they had gone to Lord Vishnu and offered themselves for this seva. And Lord Vishnu remembered that. And also at one point of time, Lakshmi Devi wanted to meet Lord Vishnu. But at that time, Lord Vishnu was taking rest. And just like very dutiful servants, Jay and Vijay stopped Lakshmi Devi. And they said, Lord Vishnu is taking rest, you meet later. So are they wrong in doing that? Is it not? So this is a big challenge about understanding how, when, what, and to what extent we do. So these two incidents that they had offered that seva, and that Lakshmi Devi was stopped one time, it was ordained that one time something will happen and Jay and Vijay will go to the earthly planets, because obviously you cannot fight in the spiritual world. All other people will get shocked. What are you doing, Jay Vijay? Oh, you're fighting with the Lord. Unko sarupya mukti diya, we discussed. They have the whole form. So Lord Vishnu is so kind. He has given the same form, the same opulence as himself. And you're fighting with the Lord? That will be too big a challenge there. So they had to go to the material world. And for them to go to the material world, they have to leave the position of the spiritual world doorkeepers. And for that to happen, it was important that they get cursed. So Lord Vishnu was offered that seva. Lakshmi Devi had told, they don't even allow me to meet you. And they had that desire to serve, so this had to happen. For that, the two doorkeepers did their duty very nicely. He said, wait, don't go inside. Kaun hai, kahan se aaye hai, kuch. They got angry, they cursed, but they went on a defensive. When they went on a defensive, Lord Vishnu came and he told the offenders and the offended, don't worry, nothing serious. And he went on a defensive. When he went on a defensive, the four Kumaras went on a defensive. And after all this, now, the four Kumaras are saying, we are also ready to accept any punishment that is given by you. We are humble. So, one of the lessons that comes from the pastime is that we should always be ready to offer seva. And if we are genuinely engaged in that mood of seva, then even if some mishaps happen, Lord will personally come to save us. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, it's not that mistakes don't happen in Vaikuntha, but the difference is when mistakes happen here based on our ego, the Lord will never come to save us. And because the two doorkeepers were sincere and they were part of the plan, Lord Vishnu personally came and saved the whole situation. And another lesson that comes there is, if this whole thing can happen on the doors of Vaikuntha, how much careful we must be as sadhakas, because we are not even as pure as the two doorkeepers. So doorkeepers, they did something and Lord Vishnu came to save them. But if we have a problem with our intention, we do not have pure intentions and we do it out of ego, not out of a desire of protecting the Lord, then sometimes we can also get severely burnt. So this is something that comes up in the third canto of the Bhagavatam, and it is mentioned that this is also a providential arrangement. This whole thing was orchestrated and multiple lessons came out of it. Some of the lessons where we can puzzle people very easily by giving a very sweet response, even if they hurt us, even if they kind of pass comments on us and so on. And when we go on a defensive, it really touches the heart of the Lord. And Lord comes and accepts, in one sense, our faults as His faults. And when these two went on a defensive, the offender also went on a defensive. And at the end of it, everyone was smiling at each other. And kalaha means fighting, yes? So Kali Yuga, the name of the present age, comes from the word kalaha, means there will be a strong tendency to fight. So all of us will have a strong tendency to fight, not because we are weak, but because we are born in this age. So if we cannot stop fighting, can we change the topic of fighting? So right now, usually, many times in my life, the topic of fighting is, I'm greater than you. And many times this fight is started by me, but it is ended by the other person. Yes? So he, being a nice Vaishnava, he says, yes, Prabhu, you are greater than me. And as soon as he says that, I said, Abhi, मैं कुछ झगड़ा करना था, थोड़ा चिल्लम चिल्ली करना था, कुछ हुआ नहीं. So can we change the topic of our fights to, actually I am at fault. And the other person says, no, you're not at fault. You did what was best. Actually I am at fault. And we should fight full scale. And we should fight at the top of our voice. Saying, no, I was at fault. They said, how dare you say you are at fault? I am at fault. They said, no, yesterday also you said you are at fault. No, you are wrong. I am at fault yesterday, I am at fault today, and I can tell you I am at fault tomorrow also. And he said, how dare you speak, you are at fault 3 times in a day. You do Yashastri Sandhyam, not 3 times a day fault. So now I am going to tell you what all faults I have done from the last Ekadashi. So last Ekadashi I did this fault, last Dwadashi I did this fault. He said, अरे तू तो इस Ekadashi से fault बोल रहा है. मैं तो 10 साल से Ekadashi में fault कर रहा हूँ. Janmashtami 2015 I did a fault. And Radhashtami 2016 I did a fault. These fights will be sweet fights. I don't deserve this Mahaprasad, Prabhuji. This for you. He said, no. I am Maha Aparadhi, so I don't deserve Mahaprasad. You take this prasad. If we could change the topics of fighting, our fight should continue and the volume of our fights can go high, but those fights will be really sweet fights. And those fights will actually be pleasing to Vishnu. And those fights will actually be pleasing to everyone around us. And sometimes it's good to have sweet fights. Is it not? So thank you so much. Let us meditate on these providential arrangements. Parikshit Maharaj got cursed. Although he's such a cultured person, he'll never disturb a sadhu, but he disturbed. Why? So that the sweet, rasam alayam, the sweet Srimad Bhagavatam can flow. And today here we are sitting under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and developing that desire in our heart, fanning the desire in the heart. Dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmasaranam. I don't want kama. I don't want moksha. I don't want even dharma and artha if it obstructs on the path home back to Godhead. I just want Radha Krishna Seva. Is it not? So, Bhakti Vinod Thakur in one of his songs is saying, Jivana nitya janah sar ताहे नाना विद विपद भार. जीवन अनित्य जानह सार. सार क्या है मालूम है? जीवन अनित्य है. एनी टाइम एनीथिंग गोज रॉन्ग एंड यू से अरे ये तो कल तक अच्छा था, आज क्या हो गया? यस, तो जीवन अनित्य जानह सार ताहे नाना विद विपद भार. एंड सो मेनी विपद कीप कमिंग. And he says, Namashraya kori jatane tumi thakaha panakaje. In all this mess that is there in Kali Yuga, unpredictable people, unpredictable situations, unpredictable diseases, there is one good thing, Namashraya. If we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Namashraya kori thakah tumi apana kaje. Whatever services Krishna has given to us through the spiritual master, be busy in those services. And when you are doing that services, if there are any impediments, internal from your own mind or external, take Namashraya. So in this way we can also go back home, back to Godhead. So when we become devotees, problems are not going to stop. Allegations are not going to stop. Name calling is not going to stop. People shouting at us is not going to stop. But it's a wonderful opportunity to go on a defensive and puzzle them. Yes? Thank you very much. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada ji ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.